So my name is Yogesh Bhatt. I'm the CEO and co-founder at NymbleUp. I worked in retail industry for about 18 years, and the last company that I worked with was facing a problem with workforce management. It was large organization spread across multiple geography. And what made me start this is a company like this hadn't cracked it across with their technologically forward organization. So that led me to believe that this is a problem, this is a big enough problem to solve and can be scaled. So that's how the journey for NymbleUp started. So NymbleUp is a B2B software as a service platform. We help retailers or large enterprises optimize their workforce. So essentially we have an AI-based forecasting engine that predicts how the demand is going to be in terms of sales, and then basis the demand, we predict how many people or what is the manpower that you need to service your demand. So in a nutshell, we help retailers optimize workforce. So essentially, cost of labor is a massive problem across the world, and this problem became even severe after COVID. Now, most of the retailers and other organizations were trying to move towards online delivery, starting their own delivery, and then the third-party deliveries coming into picture, and then the competition from e-commerce players. So it became essential. So first, there was a shortage of manpower. Secondly, there's very high, despite the shortage, there's very high attrition and training cost. Now, so this is a large problem for retailers and similar such organizations. The reason the problem becomes complex is when the roster needs to be generated. The first thing that a retailer or a manager, location manager needs to know what is their demand that they are, and consequently, what is the right team. And in retail sales are highly influenced by external impulses. I'll give an example. In retail, your morning could look very different versus your evening versus weekends. And then suppose there is a movie or a sports event, it will have a very differential impact on your sales. So keeping track of that manually is virtually impossible. So that's where our solution helps, and that's where retailers or similar organizations find it difficult to do it manually. Yeah, so technologically, while it's not like it can't be replicated, what makes us different from other competitors is we are the only unified solution that not only generates the forecast, but we use an optimizer using a multi-integer linear programming algorithm that completely automates the process of roster generation with two objective functions. One is that you maximize availability of your team, because you want to ensure that you have the right team available when the customers walk in or when you have sales. At the same time, you want to have the lowest possible cost. So that's what makes us unique. While technologically, it is something that anybody can copy, but it will take them time. It will take them time to understand the customer nuances and then build the solution. So what we see as a technological challenge is the way the technology, especially on AI, is evolving. And we also want to be on top of it. So we, as a company, we are always evaluating and trying to understand how new technologies will impact both our customer, at the same time our ecosystem. So we've already started creating guardrails or building fences around by adding more and more deep features which can't be replicated very easily. Is the technology uncertainty with which AI is moving? Right, so we recently signed a very big contract. It's an Indian QSR chain. It's actually a US brand operated by an Indian company with roughly about 2,700 locations. So they were earlier, for their rostering, they were using a Excel macro based program. Now the problem with that is it didn't speak with their front line. It was a centralized system, a dumb system which would generate the roster, which was given to the store teams in the anticipation that they will use it. But after operating it for a certain time, they realized actually store teams are not using it because it was not taking into consideration the ground reality in terms of teams. Like within teams, you'll have people who would want to work at a certain hour. They are only comfortable working certain duration. So that was not taking into consideration, and which actually, so they budgeted a certain labor hour, but their store teams were not meeting those labor hours because they were not happy with the schedule. When we launched NymbleUp with this company, first of all, we brought their labor efficiency to their target and very high adoption at a store level. The cost of labor was in the tune of about 8%, and post using NymbleUp, it came down to 7%. They're targeting to make it around 5%. So in terms of my co-founder, Manish Thakur, so we are two co-founders. Manish Thakur was my batchmate during our degree time. We both did a degree in computer science, and we've known each other for around 20 years. And post our degree, he went on to do MBA and then started a technology firm in event space, which he was finding it difficult to scale. And that's when I presented the idea to him, because he had the technological know-how, as well as he had already run a startup, and I came from the corporate background with my ability to solve problems. So he had the technological background, I had the problem-solving capability and the network. So we both sort of collaborated and started this company. In terms of our overall team strength, so we are predominantly engineers with the deep experience in the problem that we are trying to solve. So that's where our team brings in a lot of strength, and when they interact with customers, they are able to present solutions which are very relevant to our customers. So that's what I think is our strength. For the next 3 years, we are currently in the process of setting up operations in the US market, which also happens to be our biggest market. And we want to completely automate the entire onboarding to scheduling to career progression of a team member. Also, we are getting into sort of hardware tech, whereby we are using CCTV and computer vision to provide real-time insights and improve efficiency. So we want to automate this entire journey and make it scalable and easy to implement for our customers. Actually, in all, not in terms of cost, but speed, fairness. So we work with large retailers who operate more than 500 kind of location. So using spreadsheet to generate schedule is very time consuming and also not accurate. So that's where our solution completely automates this journey. Doesn't require any time for store managers to generate the roster. And in terms of fairness, also it takes into consideration availability, skill, and shift preferences of team members to generate the roster. So that's where we sort of provide a lot of value. Actually, for us, these are the two objective functions. One is having on time in full, which means availability of the team members when there's maximum demand. So prioritizing high availability of team members during peak periods and reducing cost of labor during lean period. So both are the key objectives of our solution. Actually, it's very critical for retail organizations. As I mentioned earlier, that retailers get influenced by a lot of external as well as internal influences. When I say external impulses, it could be weather, it could be a sporting event or a political event. So if you don't plan for these impulses, chances are sometimes you may have too many people available at the team, which would impact your cost of labor. At times, when you need more number of people, you do not have the right number of team. And that's where we try to strike the balance. And that's where understanding, getting very high accurate demand forecast is very critical for retailers. Actually, twofold. One is we get access to such a large conglomerate, getting key leaders from the group interact with us and share their vision has been very, very useful. Secondly, interacting with fellow co-founders who are doing interesting work. In fact, I got to learn a lot yesterday when I interacted with founders who are doing something similar, not exactly directly what we are doing, but understanding their perspective of how they are thinking about scaling, raising fund has been very, very helpful.